Hey friends, it's Joe from DadBod. Today it's around 81 degrees in Japan and wicked humid. It's about 5:08 in the morning, so let's get going for our recovery, walk, run, jog, whatever it ends up being. Today is day 52? I think it's 52. It seems about right. So congratulations. Ooh, that's a nasty, oh no, that's not a spider, that's just a leaf. But good morning, y'all. Hope you're doing well. I'm like right down the middle, and if I want to jog or walk this thing. Woke up a little sore. Woke up anxious. Went to bed anxious.
Begin workout.
Alright, let me make sure that turns to a 1. I always make sure this thing's like going before I put it away. So today we have 2 miles. I'm gonna start with I'll jog it. Nothing seems broken. I'll go nice and easy. So today we got 2 miles. Last week we did 1.75. So you may notice that these recovery workouts, as well as the fartleks, they're creeping up. Right? In the very beginning, I think the first recovery walk was like 0.5 miles. And now it's 2. So it might be a little disconcerting for you how these things keep getting longer. But one of our goals is to consistently tack on some mileage. We have to tell ourselves right now, today, Monday's already over. Like, that was a hard push. We did 5 miles. It was challenging. It's over. You know? So we did our 5-mile workout. We were sore. And then we recovered enough to do some strength, right? And that workout's over. And maybe this morning your hamstrings are mad at you. But the big long run's over, so you have the capability to do a small recovery jog. I will say though, I'm gonna walk for a second. My abs, oh my goodness. I was trying to tuck my core in. I was like, why am I running so far backwards? Like tilted back. I was like, oh yeah, yesterday we did all them gnarly 70-second planks, and then we tacked on the Mason twist, which was just stupid. Who made this program anyway? Let's get a hinge. Maybe 3 of them. So until I can find my core and form, I'm gonna walk a little bit, because I can't seem to lock it in. I can run, but not with good form right now. So we'll recovery walk. No big deal. And we can still work on walking with good form, right? We know all the things. You're in week 8. That is crazy. I still can't believe we've come this far. Still can't believe how far behind I am on editing. I think I still haven't put the first week out. I've just realized, like, to make the time to edit and record in the same, like in parallel, is really tough. And also with my job, I've been doing this massive video edit. I mean, it's been the most challenging piece of content I've ever made. It involves some like mixed reality VR, a ton of visuals, 20 minutes. I mean, I made a full script. Lots of audio engineering. I didn't bother with color grading. because for my audience, it's just not as important. But because of that, I think it's sapped my ability to actually edit for, you know, the side hustle of aFamilyFrenzy. I've still been able to push out TikToks. Yeah, I think walking's good for me today. That said, if you're jogging the 2 miles, go ahead and jog it. But I'm in final cut mode. Like, I got the full edit. It's like just about where I want it to be. It's so close. One of the things we did on Monday on the run is I took my hands and I put them on top of my hips and pushed down just to alleviate some pressure. Kind of doing that again, just to lengthen the spine and define form. So these are like little things I do. They don't necessarily work for you. It's just to make sure we're moving the way we want to move in a safe way. But yeah, my core is wrecked from yesterday. I'm still like trying to find the squeeze. I can engage my upper abs, like right under my man boobs, you know, like the little mini pack. But the lower, the one that we would use for knee lifts, it's super loose, super weak. So I think we're gonna keep the intensity low and make it a true recovery. Whew, let me get my breathing. That's fine. We can enjoy some nature sounds and chat. But yeah, what I was saying at the beginning, right, where the distance is creeping, even on the recoveries, even on the fartleks. I just want you to know that's intentional. That's also not forever. So I think it'll keep rising through block 3, if I recall. But I think we top out at 3 miles. Today is 2 miles recovery. We have a 2-mile fartlek this week. I think we edge it up to 3 by the end of block 3, and then we hold it. And the reason being is you want to keep upping your overall mileage per week, little by little. And while you're increasing the distance on your long runs, it means you're also building the endurance to gradually increase the distance on your recovery and on your fartlek. The one thing I'm not apprehensive of, but aware of, is time, right? So the reason I capped it at 3 miles is you can jog 3 miles in about 36 minutes. Maybe. I mean, it depends on your ability and your pacing. And now if you're walking 30 minutes, then that becomes a full hour. Or sorry, if you're walking 3 miles, that becomes a full hour. Whereas this walk will be about 40 minutes. I didn't want it to go much farther than that because just from a time perspective, that becomes challenging. Whereas I want you to sink the most time into those long runs to really push for completion. So while you'll probably have the ability to start running a 4 or even a 5 mile recovery by the end of this program, we won't. Just so that you can carve out that time for other things. You don't need it, even if you're capable. It's the same with Moose's lifts. Technically in this block, and even in the following blocks, we're supposed to be doing 4 sets. I say supposed to. That's the sweet spot. That's what he's laid out. You get more burn, you get more pump. As you notice from like my life, navigating lifts, recording, and kids, it's already taken me 45 minutes to an hour to crank out 3 sets. I just don't have much more in me at that point. If it was just me alone in my basement, focus, listening to some Linkin Park or something, I could probably hit a full 4 sets. But because I talk while I exercise, it brings me down to 3. Plus I spend so much time complaining. It's great. Let me get another couple hinges. Just trying to get everything where it belongs. My shoulders are nice and sore from those presses yesterday. And my chest is sore from my push-ups. Yesterday I was laying on my side on the couch. I don't know, kids were watching Paw Patrol or something. Or Gabby's Dollhouse. That's their newest one. Which is cute. It's on Netflix. It's not bad. Actively working on form right now. Okay, but anyway, we were watching Gabby's Dollhouse. I was laying on my side. I was like almost asleep. And then Akari, who's my 4-year-old, started like walking up my leg like a balance beam, which actually wasn't bad. Like, my kids step on me all the time. It's like the cheapest way I can get a half decent back massage. I say half decent because they're really not good at it yet or therapeutic. But anyway, she started walking up my side, and then she like put the ball of her foot kind of like between my armpit and my chest from all those push-ups, and everything just like tightened up. And Charlie Horse, I was like, oh my god, those sets of 20 were terrible. Why did we do that? It was cool though. We're working up to 20. It means the next big sets are 25, which is just so humbling and awful. I can't even imagine why we've gotten that far. I've talked about this. I hate getting better because it means you can do more. And I don't like more. It's uncomfy still. But chasing that edge of discomfort is so important. Except today. Today is about good, mellow, active movement. So if you're jogging right now, but you're jogging in a hurry and you're straining, you can turn that off. Like, this is a midweek, get yourself moving in a good way workout. This is to protect your body, to preserve it, not to damage it. Get my shoulder rolls in. Ooh, crunchy. It's funny, I woke up with some discomfort in my lower back at like 3, flipped over on my other side, woke up at 4 with some discomfort. Things I've had before, things that I can kind of stretch and rehab. But I started waking up with all these thoughts of like, oh man, I gotta go back and see Dr. Komano, who's like my spinal specialist, and I'm gonna go get surgery and just gonna get this. And I was like, Joe, like, this is so much not as bad as what it was. Like, just stay the course. Keep lifting, keep stretching, keep gradually losing weight. And that's gonna come next week. I'm gonna start the new eating plan. I don't want to do it, which is why I should do it, because it's hard. And I try to be very careful. Like, people have lots of different relationships with food. We also want to be really careful with like eating disorders and things like that. But we do have to take charge of our decision making and why we eat what we eat. Not to feel guilty about it, but just to have control. You may find that a lot of this program is just about you building the mental resolve to have control over your life. Running is super empowering, even though it's exhausting, incredibly challenging, uncomfortable, and demotivating. You know, I don't know how much I believe in the runner's high. It varies from person to person. But I definitely believe there's a sense of accomplishment. You know what? Let's mix it up. We're supposed to walk 2 miles. Let's go explore some rocks. Just for funsies. Yeah, we're at 0.74. This will be close enough to 2 miles. let's venture off the trail a little bit and have some fun. But the sense of accomplishment you get, those feelings of control, they're very real. And it's normally after the fact. The problem is sometimes when you have to walk, run, or you stop a workout, or it's hard, or it's really hard, like you have feelings of doubt and fear for the next workout, or shame about what you couldn't do. Those are also feelings and thoughts you have to navigate. It's hard to feel accomplished every single time because you're pushing yourself to new places. But eventually, over time, that resilience increases where you can look at each workout and call it good. Not perfect, but good. Everything was good. And that's kind of where I want to help you all get to, is those feelings of good. Oh, beautiful. How do we want to approach this thing? I'm trying to find a path out to the peninsula. I don't see that clearly connecting across. I can't jump that. Can I get down this way? There used to be a trail through here. I just don't want to get any chiggers, any ticks. Yeah. If I get a tick, I'll let you know. You just got to burn them off so they pop their head off. Don't cut out a tick. Ooh, there's a worm. Let you know if there's any snakes or scorpions in here. Ew, it's wet. Ew, gross. I'm not a big fan of nature. I don't mind nature at a distance on a trail. Don't really want to be that close to it. Whoa, that's a big fish. Cool. Here's your nature walk, friends. So this used to be my lookout location. Like, I used to come out here because this was about a mile or so in, and I would run here, come out and pray, reflect, and run back. And that's all I did. I did that consistently for months. Where Futaka Tamagawa was like never even fathomable when we first moved out to Japan. But physical therapy, strength and conditioning, rehabbing really kind of put me in a position where I could start to train up towards a half. And it gave me a good goal, a hard goal. That first half was messy, and actually it started way back over there on that side of the river and just ran all the way down to the city and back. So eventually I started training beyond this spot. But this is where a lot of it started for me. This is my 0 point. And it's just beautiful at a sunrise. So eventually I think you're gonna find that mindset of every workout's good. And you're not gonna feel that during it. During it, you're in the strain. You're navigating the tension between hope and fear. But eventually, it's when it ends that you're gonna have that confidence you're looking for. It's so nice. This is your halfway point in the program, friends. Just about. You got 3 more workouts till you're perfectly halfway. And you've come really, really far. And it takes time. So be patient with yourself, be graceful with yourself. But I do want you to feel accomplished. I don't want you to be hung up with comparison to me. I have a different body, I'm on a different path, a different journey. But you've been showing up for yourself. If you have biked every long distance run, because that's what you can do, that's incredible. And it doesn't mean that you won't run a half marathon next go around. You know what I mean? Every modification you've needed to take was a modification you chose to do so that you can get the best work you can get with your body. It's gorgeous. All right. Well, what's really cool, big old fish. What's really cool is that's Futaka Tamagawa, and on Monday, as we start the second half, we go 6 miles, which means we actually get to cross the Blue Bridge. We went almost all the way across it on Monday, which was crazy. We get to cross just a little bit farther, and we're gonna be running the other riverside. And eventually, maybe 5 weeks from now, we will run across the bridge, which you can't even see. We will run all the way down, and you'll eventually get to the Cannon building. And the Cannon building is I think that's 10 miles from our start point is to Cannon, which means 11 is towards the bridge, and then your half marathon's 12 and a half, 13.2 or so. So you're coming along, friends. You're gonna finish. And every workout that you do is good. And if you're looking for a comparison, it's a workout somebody didn't do, right? And there may be a lot of people in your circle, even in your relationship or marriage, that don't take the time to care for their bodies and challenge their bodies and shape them. So just keep that in mind. You're doing great. Yeah, 0.88. So yeah, if you're walking while I was stopping, you're probably at turnaround point. You're probably at 2 miles. If you're jogging, you already probably cut it back already. But I just wanted to take you out somewhere special, somewhere nice. Bring you into my story and my journey a little bit more. Yeah, this is one of my first beautiful spaces to kind of rest and reflect, to contemplate. And it's so important. Ooh, I am sore. I'm gonna do roll and release, or the stretchy rolly foam rolling. Oh God, I hate that crap. I'll probably stream it on TikTok and Twitch just so people can hear me yelp. So I was like, eh. I just hate I hate all of it. I like the results. I hate all of it. Okay. Up the hill, up the hill. Ohayou gozaimasu. Whew. My back's a little warmed up, which is good. I just had to get out, get moving in a safe way. I'm glad I walked it. Every week's different. Every week you get a different Joe. All right. I am tired though. Them hammies. We are not messing around with hamstrings. I was doing 15 with long pauses with a 40-pound weight. This is awful. I absolutely did not do that the first time I did this program with MooseABoot. But I have a better baseline of strength to challenge myself with. I think we do.
Distance 1 mile.
Oh yay!
Time 23 minutes and 11 seconds.
Incredible!
Good pace 23 minutes 11 seconds per mile.
I'm sore. How'd y'all like that finish on Monday? We were running, we were doing the walk run. It was challenging. I loved when I talked about the turnaround, like, yeah, as you get to a mile, you know, you're gonna be demotivated to want to stop. So just lean forward a tiny bit, shave a 3/4 of a second off, you know, and just take those big 3 steps, and then take your 5 power breaths, you know, and just get that control and just lean into the next one. And then I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't know how far the next mile is out. Oh, whatever. And I just kind of slowed down and stopped, and then I checked my phone immediately. I was at the mile mark. I was like, crap. But then we went down those stairs, jogged right over here. And I was like, that 0.3 miles, perfectly content walking it. Now, when you're running a half marathon and you're on the last 0.3 miles and everyone's clapping and cheering and yelling at you to finish, you're probably not going to walk across the finish line. If you do, that is totally acceptable. I have zero judgment of that, okay? But adrenaline, some level of social insecurity, the societal pressure will push you to probably keep moving. And the problem is when that pressure, especially in the beginning, like pushes you beyond your capability, and then you go through loops of burnout because people watch you while you run a half marathon. Like, that's a thing you have to navigate. We're doing all this out in nature early in the morning, for the most part alone, right? Depending on where you're running, there may be 10,000 runners with you, and maybe a third of that is just people along the streets clapping, cheering. And in some ways, and you might not have the same struggles I have, but in some ways you may want to perform. Like, you want to be seen as someone who's working hard, and someone who's strong, and someone who has endurance, and someone who's fast. And you might even do things, I'm telling you from experience, friends, you may, one second, you may even start running a little faster when people are watching you, and you may start running a little slower or walking when there's gaps with no people. And you know how I know is if in your week 0 you watch the Lake Yamanakako run, that is what I did. Like, and there's a couple key moments where, like, I passed my kids 3 times on that run, and they made little signs and they'd come out and they'd say hello, and you'd be sure that I was running on those parts of the run, because that's how I want my kids to see me. Put it in the work. Daddy can run just like the rest of them. And then as soon as they were out of sight, I'd be like, oh my God. Because it was also on an uphill, which was just brutal. And at the end, I was so gassed from the run walk and the pace being all screwed up that, like, people were cheering. I was like, why is the finish line farther and farther? Like, it snaked farther than I anticipated. So that last push of a run, oh, it just utterly destroyed me. It was brutal. And that first hill at mile 3 or mile 4 took all my pace. So these are things like you can study through my experience. Like, if you watch the first 3 miles, really, even longer, like the first 3 miles, I kind of was a little closer to the start than I should have been based on pace. I just misgauged what my pace would be. So for the first 3 miles, I'm just getting past the whole time. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem, and it's very subtle, but it's real, if you've never run a distance race with people, is that will push you psychologically to try not to get past. But you're running with people that have trained at a different pace than you, so of course you should be getting past. And you'll know that intellectually, but there's still like a very real pressure and response you experience. We'll need to keep talking on this. I think this will be helpful, because if you can have a plan before you get in those situations, you're gonna do much better. Because I want your first half marathon to be an awesome experience where you cross the finish line and you're not injured, you're not destroyed, you feel accomplished. Some things went according to plan, you work through the stuff that didn't go according to plan, and you're ready for whatever's next in your health and fitness journey. Whether it's training up for another half marathon, training towards a different level of athleticism, a full something different, right? Whereas I don't want you to be surprised by some of the things we just started talking about, and then you cross the finish line and you're like, oh man, I screwed up. Because that's how I felt at the end of Lake Yamanakako. I was like, oh man, I ego ran. Or man, I wasn't conditioned enough for hills, or all that stuff got in my head. Because my goal was to actually run it the whole time at a consistent pace. That was what success was. And reality did not match that. It was much lower. So it's not to discourage you. But if you run around your house and your house is flat, and then your half marathons in Cincinnati where it's all hills, don't expect to run smooth and easy. Because it's two very different terrains. So you got to give yourself grace in the expectations versus reality. But there are certain mindset things you can start to train up. Another option, which I didn't actually think to kind of coordinate in here, and it's difficult to schedule. If you can sneak in a 5K or a 10K race into this program, it doesn't have to perfectly align. Like maybe week, it's probably too late to tell you now because we're halfway through, but I don't know, in a couple weeks, if you find a local 5K somewhere and you're supposed to do your long run and it's on the same day or whatever, or maybe you could substitute your fartlek for a 5K because you'll be trained up enough that that's about comparable challenge. Go run a 5K with a whole bunch of people and you'll start to feel some of those things. You'll feel the pressure of the people being running in a way that's visible. You got to work through that. Ohayou gozaimasu. So you got to work through all those social things, right? If you're heavy like me, we don't feel very flattering when we run, right? Our face gets all red, our stomach bounces around. You know, we're not out there to look pretty, but we still feel the pressure of being seen. And the reality is, like, no one's really looking at you. There's thousands of people. They got plenty of people to look. They're looking at everybody. But why do we feel the need to look aesthetic when we run? Those are all the real little things you're gonna have to navigate. Like, a lot of times they'll do marathon pictures that are linked to your race bib number. I mean, I look at mine once in a while, like, or when I run the race and they send me the URL, I'll check it out. 1 second. Ohayou gozaimasu. Like, when they send the URL, I'll check it out, of course, but I don't look at them too long because they're not flattering. I'm exhausted and stressed, and it's hard, and I'm wheezing. My form always looks worse than it should be. Like, they're really ugly selfies because I don't have the ability to run pretty or aesthetically, right? So just keep that in mind. Do what you can do, but a lot of that other stuff you're gonna have to proactively work out before you even do it. All right, so here's our normal stopping spot. We already did the reflection at the other water area, so I'm just gonna head home and do my foam rolling or my stretch and release. So maybe I'm cutting out early, I don't know. I'm gonna get the full distance once I walk all the way back, but keep changing the world. See you tomorrow for Moose Lift 2B. Great job showing up, and see you around, friend.